Justice shall be done. The light is my strength. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. The light is my strength. I'm here to help. The light is my strength. Certainly. For honor. Certainly.
Our warriors have engaged the enemy.
Justice shall be done. Feel my wrath. I stand for the light. Of course. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. Of course. Light is my strength. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Is there danger? I stand for the light. The light is my strength. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan.
First blood.
I stand for the light. Is there danger? I stand for the light. Is there danger? The light is my strength. Is there danger? Justice shall be done. I stand for the light. For honor. I'm here to help. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Certainly. For honor. Is there danger? Certainly. A sound plan. I stand for the light. Is there danger? The light is my strength. Where shall my blood Justice shall be done? Certainly. For honor. I stand for the light. A sound. Certainly. For honor. Certainly. Is there danger? For honor. Certainly. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. Foul name. Of course. I stand for the light. Certainly. For my father the king. The light is the strength. Of course. I'm here to help. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. For Lordaeron. Feel my wrath.
Dominate.
Sound plan.
Double kill.
The light is my strength. I'm here to help. I wish only to I serve. Stand for the light.
Our allies' town needs help.
Of course. A sound plan. For honor. You are past redemption. Certainly. Of course.
Take your time.
Justice shall be done. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Light is my strength. Foul name. Certainly. Justice shall be done. Is there danger? Justice shall be done. shall be done. For honor.
Yes, my friend.
I stand for the light. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Of course.
Unstoppable double kill.
Certainly. Is there danger? Justice shall be done. Is there danger? I'm here to help.
Give me something to do! You're interrupting my
Is
calculations.
there danger? I'm here to help. Justice shall be done. Is my strength. Justice is come. Certainly. For honor. Of course. You are past redemption.
Wicked sick.
A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. I stand for the light. Justice shall be done. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. Is there danger? Certainly. Of course. I'm here to help. For honor. Of course. Is there danger? A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. I'm here to help. The light is my strength. I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. I stand for the light. Is there danger? I stand for the light. Certainly. For honor.
Our allies' town needs help.
I stand for the light. A sound plan.
Wait till you see me in action.
What? I'm here to help. Yes, my lord. Is there danger? For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound. Of course. A sound plan.
Our allies' town needs help.
I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. Certainly. For honor. The light is my strength. Certainly. Justice shall be done. I'm here to help. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. Certainly. I'm here to help. I stand for the light. For Lord or honor. For honor. Is there danger? Of course. I'm here to help. For honor. A sound plan. Is there danger? Of course. Certainly. I'm here to help.
Greetings, my
Aye?
Our allies' town needs help.
For honor. For honor. I'm here to help. The light is my strength. I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly. Feel my wrath.
An allied champion has fallen.
Sound. Certainly. The light is my strength. Is there danger? For honor. The light is my strength. A sound plan. I stand for the light. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly.
Killing spree.
For honor. Of course. The
Our
light is my
allies'
strength.
town needs help.
Certainly. A sound
Killing spree.
Certainly. Justice shall be done. A sound plan. I'm here to help. Certainly. For honor. You are past redemption. A sound plan. Justice shall be done. Of course. For honor. Certainly. Of course. I'm here to help. For honor.
Our
Till you see me
warriors
in
have
action.
The
engaged
light
the
is my
enemy.
strength. A sound plan.
Our allies' town needs help.
Certainly. For honor. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. I'm here to help. For honor. A sound plan. For
Our
glory.
allies' town needs help.
The light is my strength. For my father and evil. Is there danger? Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan.
Our allies' town
Of
needs
course.
help.
A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor.
Dominating.
Of course. A sound plan. I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course.
Mega kill. Double kill.
An allied champion has fallen.
I stand for the light. Certainly. For honor. I'm here to help. Certainly. Danger? I'm here to help. A
Our
sound.
allies' town needs help.
What is your wish?
Which way?
Let's get going.
Light is my strength. I'm here to help. Justice shall be done. Of course. A sound plan. Is there danger? Certainly. I'm here to help. The light is my strength. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of course. I stand for the light. A sound plan.
Our allies' town
For
needs
honor.
help.
Of course. Certainly. For honor. Justice is coming.
Unstoppable.
Certainly. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Of course.
I'm listening.
The light is my strength.
Betrayer of the light.
Justice shall be done. For my father the king. A sound plan. For honor. The light is my strength. I stand for the light. Of course.
Dominating.
An allied champion has fallen.
I'm here to help. The light is my strength.
Mega kill.
Certainly. I stand. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A
Our
sound.
allies' town needs help.
Is there danger? I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly. Justice shall be done. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. I'm here to help. A sound plan. Is there danger? For honor. Of course. For honor. Justice shall be done.
Our
I
allies'
stand
town
for the
needs help.
light. I bid, Master. I'm here to help. Of course.
Hello.
I stand for the light. Certainly. Justice shall be done.
Our
there
allies'
danger?
town needs
I
help.
stand for the light.
Let's get going.
I'm here to help. Of course. Certainly. For honor.
An allied
I
champion
stand
has
for the
fallen.
light. I'm here to help. Certainly. Is there danger? I'm here to help. Of
Unstoppable.
course. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Feel my wrath. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Of course. Is there danger?
I wish only to serve.
I'm here to help. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. I stand.
Wicked sick.
A sound plan. For honor. Certainly.
Spree.
Of course. Certainly.
Dominating.
A sound
Double
plan.
kill.
I'm here to help.
Welcome to our village.
Is there danger?
Monster kill.
I'm here to help. Of course. A sound plan. I stand for the light. Certainly. For honor.
Killing spree.
An allied champion has fallen.
Certainly. Of course. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of course. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly.
Our allies' town needs
Of
help.
course. For honor. Of course. You are past Certainly. For honor. Of course. Certainly.
Not enough, man.
Of course.
Our allies' town needs help.
For honor. Of course.
Our allies' allies' town needs help.
I'm here to help. Of course, for honor. Of course, a sound plan. For honor. Of course, a sound plan. For honor. Of course, a sound plan. Certainly, a sound plan. Certainly, a sound plan. For honor. Of course, for honor. Of course, certainly, a sound plan. Of course.
Godlike.
Certainly,
An allied champion
justice
has
shall be
fallen.
done. A sound plan. The light is my strength. For honor. Is there danger? A sound plan. Of course.
Double kill.
Of course. Certainly. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan.
Our allies' town
For
needs help.
honor. Certainly. The light is my strength. A sound plan. Foul. Certainly. Is there danger? For honor. Certainly. For honor.
Our
Certainly.
allies' town
course.
needs help.
Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. For honor. For Lord of honor. A sound.
Our allies' town
Of
needs
course.
help.
A sound plan. Feel my wrath. I'm here to help.
Spider sense.
The light is my strength. I'm here to help. Justice shall be done.
Our allies' town needs
Of
help.
course.
Double
Certainly.
kill.
For
Dominating.
honor. For Lord Oran. For Lord Oran. For Lord Oran.
Betrayer of the light.
For Lord Oran.
Mega kill. Double kill.
A sound.
Our allies' town needs
Of
help.
course. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. I stand for the light.
All gold is blood.
For honor. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. For honor. A sound.
You are past redemption.
I stand for the light. Certainly. Of course. For honor. The light is my strength. Certainly.
I'm listening.
Justice shall be done. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course.
Unstoppable.
Certainly. Of course. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of course. For honor. Of
Killing
course.
spree.
For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. I stand for the light.
Our allies'
A
town
sound
needs
plan.
help.
Of course. For honor. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. Justice. Of course.
Our allies' town needs help. allies' town needs help. An allied champion has fallen. Our allies' town needs help.
Is there danger? A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. I'm here to help.
What news?
I stand by the light, Master. A sound plan. For honor. Justice shall be done. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Of course. I stand for the light. I'm here to help. Justice shall be done. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. For honor. The light is my strength.
Our allies' town needs
Of
help.
course. For honor. Certainly. Of course. For honor. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. For honor. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. For honor. A sound plan. For my father. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. Of course.
More gold is required.
Is there danger? The light is my strength. A sound plan. Of course. Certainly. Of course. I'm here to help. A sound plan. For honor. Certainly. A sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Of course. Certainly. Is there danger? For honor. A sound plan.
Our allies' town needs help.
A sound
Double kill. Dominating.
Certainly. A sound plan. Of course. A sound plan. I stand for the high ground. The light is my strength. I wish justice.
Double kill.
An allied champion has fallen.
The light is my strength. Of course. Certainly. For honor.
Our
Certainly.
allies' town needs
A
help.
sound plan. Certainly. For honor. Of course. Certainly. For honor. A sound plan. Certainly. A sound plan. I stand for the light. Of course. For Lord Oran.
Our allies'
Certainly.
town needs help.
A sound plan. Certainly. Of course. Certainly. A sound plan.
Double kill.